Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy here, MC.
Your honey asal.
Welcome back to
Swahili Nation. Swahili
to the world.
Well, we are coming back to you with an interesting video today. And it's United States and China want 10 things from African countries.
Yes.
US-China relationship with Africa.
So I gotta say this, guys. The reason why I'm coming to do reaction to this and to listen with you guys, or to watch with you guys, because I think it's very important to know these things. All right. Sometimes we are being very naive, thinking that, oh, they want to help, they want to give support and things like that. But sometimes a lot of these powerful nations, they have their own agendas. Yes.
It ain't pure.
And I've been talking about that for a while, and I think it's the time for Africa diaspora to stand up, to rise up, to know these things, because we are the leaders of tomorrow, and we'll be able to prevent from happening, and we'll be able to actually open our eyes and to be like, you know what, we are going to stand. We're going to stand against this, and it ain't gonna happen. Sally, anything you want to learn in Swahili before we start?
Oh yeah, what is eat more?
Eat more?
Eat more! Eat more!
There's no collaboration between the video we are doing and eat more. This is not eating video. Anyway,
I'm just personally. You said what I want to learn.
Okay, eat more. Kula zaidi.
Kula zaidi.
Yeah, kula zaidi. To eat is like kula. Kula. So eat more is like zaidi. Kula zaidi.
Kula zaidi.
Exactly.
Okay.
So then?
Yeah.
Alright, so without wasting time, it's 12 minutes video, but we don't have to stop, so that's good.
Beautiful.
We're just gonna jump right away to listen to this lecture and to see what is happening. You ready?
Yes.
So,
ow.
yeah. Shout out to this channel for the video.
Very pleased to be with you this morning and see such a bright and shiny, large group of folks who I hope are very interested in this topic. Let me put in some context sort of how China and the United States fit in Africa today, or at least from my optic. And I'll do it in the context of what are our respective interests in Africa. And when I talk about interests, I'm talking about hard interests. What do China and the United States want from Africa? Not what they can do for Africa. Yes. Those are very different things.
Exactly.
So I'm going to suggest that there are 5 things that China wants from Africa, and then I'll very quickly do the same thing for the United States. In the first instance, China wants access to African natural resources.
That's true.
85% of all African exports to China are oil and minerals or other natural resources. About 85% of all Chinese exports to Africa are value-added manufactured goods.
85%.
That's interest number 1. Interest number 2 is China wants the support, the political support of as many African countries as it can obtain. 54 countries in Africa. When I talk about Africa, I use the whole continent. I don't divide it into sub-Saharan and North Africa. So China wants the political support of as many of the 54 countries as it can possibly get. China has diplomatic relations with 52 of the 54 countries. Burkina Faso and Swaziland recognize Taiwan. Which leads us to the third interest of China in Africa, and that is to have the diplomatic recognition of all 54 countries. It would like to see Burkina Faso and Swaziland at some point switch their representation from Taipei to Beijing. So that's interest number 3. Interest number 4 is exporting the maximum amount that it can to African countries, because that earns foreign exchange for China. Now, the African market in the grand scheme of global trade is not huge for China. It's only about 5% of China's global trade. Nevertheless, 5% is 5%, and it would like to increase the amount of exports that it sells to the African countries. The fifth and the last interest that China has in Africa is to avoid all of the potential negative problems that could negatively impact Chinese interests or the Chinese presence in Africa or in the waters around Africa, or conceivably even in the Chinese homeland. This is everything from countering terrorism to avoiding international crime, anti-piracy, narcotics trafficking, anything that's bad, that's negative, that could harm Chinese interests or personnel in Africa. It wants to avoid. Those are the 5 things that China wants from Africa. Now, what it can do for Africa is very different in things like economic development and cordial political relations, etc., etc., but I don't consider those as hard interests. Now, very quickly, what does the U.S. want from Africa?
Yeah, you better subscribe right now.
Well, it wants access to oil and, to a lesser extent, minerals. It wants the political support of as many African countries as it can obtain. The U.S. has diplomatic relations with all 54 countries on the continent. It wants to export as many American products to the continent as it possibly can. It doesn't have this issue of Taiwan, so that's the one distinction between China's policy and U.S. policy that that separates us in terms of what our hard interests are. The United States also wants to avoid all of the negative issues that I listed in the case of China. Those same negative factors apply to the United States, and the U.S. wants to make sure those don't impact the United States negatively. And the United States has a 5th interest, which China does not yet have, but perhaps which China is approaching, and that is that the U.S. wants to have access to African ports for U.S. naval vessels.
I knew it!
It wants to have the ability to overfly the continent for U.S. military aircraft as necessary, and it wants to be able to land in African airports as necessary in order to support whatever military operations it might have around the world. As I say, I don't think China is at this point yet, even with its new facility, military facility. I would argue it's a base in Djibouti. Maybe China will be at this point, at some point in the next 10 years, but not there yet. Let me just say also generally that the one thing about Africa in terms of the China-Africa or the China-U.S. connection is that it's essentially neutral territory. It's the one part of the world where neither the United States nor China has sort of deep core interests, and therefore it makes it a location where there can be cooperation more effectively and more easily than in any other part of the world. Asia is obviously considered to be in the backyard of China.
And Korea's
Latin
in between.
America's in the backyard of the United States. Europe is closely aligned for the most part with the United States. And these are areas that are somewhat more difficult in terms of China-U.S. cooperation. Because Africa is essentially a neutral location, it does, I think, lend itself far more readily to U.S.-China collaboration. And I've been making that argument for years, and I continue to believe that is the case. Kate, I'd be happy to stop there if you wish. And I haven't really gone into the background of the development of the China relationship in Africa, but if there's time for that at some point, I'll be happy to do it.
But why don't you say a few words on that, just as you see the evolution of China's approach and view towards Africa?
Yeah. The evolution of China's relationship with Africa is quite surprising, particularly if you look at the last 20 years. When China initially went into Africa in the 1960s and 1970s, it was essentially, during the Cold War, it was essentially to support African liberation movements, occasionally even to support some very left-wing African groups that were trying to topple independent African governments. A very well-documented case in Cameroon, for example, of trying to overthrow the Ahidjo government. So it was a very political period, very ideological, very Cold War focused. Now that began to change in the 70s, where China's policy became more pragmatic, and with each passing decade it became more and more pragmatic, to the extent that you got to the mid-1990s, and China's focus towards Africa changed enormously and became heavily economic, much less political, with a desire to focus on trade, to focus on foreign direct investment, to focus on the winning of contracts, to build all of these big infrastructure projects in Africa. Clearly an economic focus, and that's, I think, represented by these 5 interests that I just laid out. China became Africa's largest trading partner in 2009, and it has only increased the distance between its trading record with Africa and the number 2 trader with Africa since 2009. It passed the United States in 2009. In fact, today, the United States is not even the 2nd largest trading partner with Africa. It's about number 4. India has surpassed the United States, and France has passed the United States in terms of bilateral trade. China is a major source of foreign direct investment in Africa today. It's still well behind a number of other Western countries. Its investment flows to Africa are about equal to those of the United States today.
The economic war.
But American investment stock in Africa is greater than China's, mainly because it's been doing it for a longer period of time.
Chinese investors
in terms of winning contracts, China is way in the lead. Chinese construction companies are basically overwhelmed the rest of the world in terms of winning the big infrastructure contracts in Africa. These are, however, based on loans. These are not grants. For the most part, this is not aid. This is a business deal where Chinese companies come in and build these projects, often with an element of Chinese labor involved. The reason that China is winning so many of these contracts is that it is able to offer financing for them. And the Western countries have not offered financing. So China is effectively filling a void that the West has given up to China. The interesting area in the most recent couple of years in terms of China's engagement in Africa is on the security side. China is clearly taking a greater interest in African security issues, and in large part, to protect Chinese interests. And that is why I think you are seeing the development of the first facility that China has ever established outside of China, the military base in Djibouti, which reputedly is to assist its effort at anti-piracy in the Gulf of Aden, but it also has implications beyond that. It's to be available to help evacuation of Chinese nationals, if necessary, in northeastern Africa, in the Gulf State area. It is to support peacekeeping operations where China has troops assigned to South Sudan, to Darfur. China has about 2,100 troops today assigned to UN peacekeeping missions in Africa. These are all important, relatively new developments in Chinese engagement in security issues in Africa, and I think you're going to see more and more of this as time passes, possibly even with the exception of, or with the addition even of additional military facilities in Africa, or in the northern rim of the Indian Ocean in places like Pakistan, Sri Lanka, other countries along the northern rim of the Indian Ocean.
Okay, so yeah, what I really want to say is I think it's a great video. Thank you for sharing. And as he was saying that, you know, it's their own interest, as you say, because they have their people there. Right now in Africa, there's a lot of Chinese people more than any other people, and of course, second people, they have to be Indians, because we have a lot of Indian natives actually, because they came a long time ago. So right now, for example, if you go to Tanzania, almost in every city you find like Indian town. We have there everywhere. Like we have, those are the guys who are doing a lot of business, like all this, if it is food, if it is whatever, a lot of them. Yeah, so for me, my personal opinion, what I see is that, and I think that's what our president or a lot of people are talking about, all these deals and all these contracts and all these treaties that we are writing maybe with Western countries. It has to benefit African countries in a huge amount of time. I mean, a huge amount of portion of money. It has to be good for Africans, because everything is about us. If you, for example, if you wanna try to come to establish whatever business that you wanna establish, because you have your own interests, the things that you wanna take away from African countries, from us, therefore we need to have a huge portion of benefit of what you do. But what is going on, or what has been happening for a long time due to corruption and all these things, we have all these treaties, but most of them, they're actually violating African countries. And most of them, it's just about taking things away and not really giving anything back. It's just going there and take everything. You know, you come with your infrastructure, but the reason why they want to build infrastructure, because that region, it has a lot of diamond and gold. So they will close it, like they'll cover everything, and they'll be working there for years, and you have no idea. They'll dig down, working on the basement and everything, but they're not really doing any project. They're finding diamonds.
So here's the thing. Africa does get benefits, but not as much as China would.
Yeah, it doesn't get at all.
Yeah.
To some other treaties, it doesn't get at all.
Really?
And that's why, yes. And that's why because they come, like, for example, the treaty. I'll give you an example. Some of the treaties that come. Give you a little bit of the light, what's going on in Africa. Some treaties will come, they'll build something, and then it will be like, okay, we will, like they say, we will manage. For example, they'll build, let's say they'll build like mining like site, or they'll build shopping mall or whatever. They'll build some stuff, and then they'll be like, okay, whatever that happens from this, we will take all percentage for 100 years, and after 100 years, this thing it belong to you. So let's say I build a shopping mall, and then 100 years we'll take everything that is happening. After 100 years, this shopping mall and everything will be free. Those are treaties that already happened back in our country.
You know, to be really honest, I think still Africa does get benefits to a certain extent, because think about it.
Sally, you're telling what you don't know. No, you're telling what you don't know.
Because think about it. No, using your example, then that if there's a shopping mall, that means jobs are provided to the people in that area. No?
The thing is,
that's
Africa,
how it works.
The thing is, Africa, we don't need shopping mall. That's what you have to understand. We don't need shopping mall. We don't need all those things. There are kind of things that are really important to us, especially at this point of time. We don't need Africa, in my opinion, we don't need long buildings. We don't need that. That's not the thing that we need right now. We need people who will go to education. We need infrastructure. We need people who will get money. We need people who will get electricity, will get water in their house and food every single day. Those are kind of things that we need. And most of these projects that are coming, that's why Magufuli was hated, because even in those sites, most of people who are there in top positions are from their countries. You know what I'm saying? Like they're coming, they're starting their project in your own nation, in your own country, but they don't have anyone there. Like if you find Africans, who are actually, you know, like cleaning down and working on those really low income that you work in a day, and then you make like less than like $10 a day. Like that's kind of job that they will get. But all those top position, all those good position, you'll never find African do. And they're in your country. Of course, there's a big problem, the big issue with leadership and all those kind of things. That's why I always say, when the government is corrupted, it's good for them, because they can do all these things. They can write all these treaties by giving money behind, like to the leaders.
Right, and then those leaders usually
kind of
don't really care about the interest of the
So
people.
That's why we are taking this. That's why I'm taking this video, because it's a time for all Africans to know what's really is going on. And this is just a one video, like a simple video, but there's a lot of things that are going on that I cannot be able to share. Oh, you guys as well, you know exactly what is going on down there, because right now we're trying to work on the current Africa and also future Africa, of young people, young generation who actually are in love with this continent that, hey, it's time to wake up. Actually, maybe our grandfathers and our leaders, they did a lot of mistakes in the past, but we cannot continue to stand on that, because nobody wants you to develop. I'm telling you, no one wants Africa to develop if they're not African. They don't want it to develop. They want to take whatever that you have, whatever potential you have away from you, but they don't want you to develop. Africans, we're the one who knows exactly what we need for our continent, who knows exactly what we need for our country, and we want to develop. So, and we can do it. And we can do it. And it's a time to wake up. And even though all these treaties are coming, all these agreements are coming, we always have to check them 1,000 times. We have to check all these treaties, and what they're talking about, and what's the benefit, and what is going down to the country as well.
I really hope the politicians in each of your countries in Africa are smart enough to see through the money that they're given with, with the offer, because like I said previously in this video, the countries in Africa, they're pretty new comparatively to other countries because of colonialism. You know, that's inevitable.
The same guys, the same guys who were coming and tried to help, the same guy who colonized.
A little bit different, because they were mostly Europeans. But
yeah, I'm talking about them as well, because you know, the second country that he has a lot of, you know, I mean, all these treaties and everything in Africa is French. That's Europe. You know what I'm saying? And then you have India, and then you have, you know, America, and then the present China.
I wonder where Portugal is, because I know Portugal had some association with colonialism.
Of course, they have with Mozambique.
Yeah.
So Portugal with Mozambique, French with a lot of
Madagascar as well. But anyways, so I'm trying to say that these African countries are mostly new, and that's why they're in a very essential part. And no wonder America and China wants political support, because they already see that they have potential towards what they want. Like, they know that they could be good allies. You know, I mean, look at the people in general from Africa. Look how they are built.
I think you should also speak in your perspective, because in this matter, when you're talking about this matter, you really need to understand what is Africa, and you really need to understand what really happened in Africa.
Don't get me wrong. I'm representing the people that are not African.
In your case, you have to talk about the same thing in a perspective of your country and your nation, because you guys, you have the same problem as well right now here in Korea. The treaties and everything that happened between you guys and United States and in China as well, to the point that right now there's a big political tension, because simply the president was not able to stand against Chinese during the COVID-19, and now your own people are hating it because of the same thing that's
why I'm saying they're at a tough spot right now, because if the leaders are really not smart, they will end up being somewhere in the middle, where you will be like, oh, if I follow China, then America will be like this. Because, you know, on the long run, you know, this is what got me thinking a lot. The export, China and America, they both try to export a lot into Africa. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that kind of seems like they're trying to make African countries rely on the goods and services that come from China and United States, where they will reach a point that they need it.
You know what they do? I'll tell you what they do. I told you about you talking about your country and what is going on, because it will make sense to a lot of people out there. Because right now here we have two different eyes. I am an African. I know what's going on in my country. I know what happened in Africa. You are from Korea. You know what is happening and what is going on, and how much people are frustrated. You can only talk to what is really happening right now, which is pretty much similar but in different levels. But what happened is, these guys are coming there to take raw materials, because in Africa, you know that right now is one of the continents that has a lot of raw materials. They don't want to, you know, they're not interested in building industry. They're not interested in doing anything like that. They're only interested to take raw materials with cheaper price, because when you send your raw materials, when you sell to somebody, you take it with cheap price. Let's say, for example, sunflowers with cheap price. They're taking it to their own country. They're manufacturing it. They're changing to oil, and then they're sending back to you with higher price with your own raw materials. You know what I'm saying? Which are the same thing. If you really thinking about helping economic and whatever, what you will do, you will go right there to save the transportation and everything, to build the industry there. You'll use the raw materials, you transform it to oil, and then you'll sell it back to your country. But they're avoiding doing that because it's expensive. So what African countries, what can we do? What we can do is us to wake up and to build our own industry. To do that, if there's investment people will do, we have to make sure that we are building industry that we will be in charge. We will be in control. If these guys are coming to build industry, whatever, we need to have a huge amount of portion of being in charge and in control that will produce these things, and then we'll sell it to them because they belong to us. Africans with low income, they're the one who always night and day, they work in the site, farming every single day, trying to make their living, to bring all these sunflowers, exactly, maize and everything, and then they just come to take advantage of that, taking low price. I'm sorry. That's why the other day I was watching the president, the late President Magufuli. He was talking about it, and you know what? He commanded. He said, right now, nuts. He was talking about nuts. He was like, I'm gonna raise the price of nuts because all these people are working so hard to provide for their family, but they don't really get the money they deserve. And then at the end of the day, the same products, other countries, they receive a lot of income with the same product that I work for. We have to care for farmers. We have to care for our own low people income who are working day and night. And that's what we can do. That's what we can do because we have that potential. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Yes. So this is really, it's really time to wake up. And I know this is not just, it's not just in Africa, but there's a lot of countries right now. And this is because of global warming and because of industrialization. A lot of countries right now, they cannot produce they cannot produce raw materials anymore. Look at here in Korea, how many products have been imported from other countries. Like you see from Colombia, from even from everywhere, they're imported here because you cannot have them here anymore. China, they're the one who have been like ruining environment for so long time because of their industrialization. So what they do, they import all these raw materials from different parts. So they see that market in Africa because it's like the mother of raw materials, you know what I'm saying?
Guys, this is a really complex relationship because there is a win-win and a loss-loss, depending on how you look at it. And of course, we understand some of you who are benefiting from this China, United States involvement with African countries. I know some of you that are, advantaged are like, oh, I'm fine, but because you gotta be honest.
No one feels that way in Africa. Africa, we have been losing for many years. Again, if you know that maybe
if that was the case, their involvement would have already stopped.
Don't speak about Africa for that because
if there weren't people who support this wouldn't have really ended up.
That's what I'm saying. People who supported are those corrupted leaders.
Exactly. The so do something with them.
Those people, they're not even watching this video. Now we're talking to normal people who really experiencing the real life and the results of all these crazy treaties that we have done, before. So in Africa, I'm telling you, for many years, you said it's win-win situation and it's loss. No, for many years we haven't won. For many years we lost. All these things for many years.
In the perspective of the people,
we lost.
Not the corrupted ones.
We lost as a government, as everything. We lost for many years, and that's why where we are right now, Africa, we're supposed to be exactly like it's okay for me. I just even if it takes 50 years to develop, it's fine. Let's go to Nchoni like that. Let's go slowly like that. We have everything that we need. It's the continent that we have everything that God has given us. Let's work on it slowly, one step at a time. We don't need tomorrow to be like we're already there. No, we can go slowly every single day. We have everything that we need, and one day I'm telling you, we're gonna be on the other side. And I really respect those leaders who are standing against Western and Eastern. I really respect, because it's a time for that. We can do everything. And one of them is our president, who proved that everything is possible. Everything is possible. Just with everything that is producing within the country is possible. And he did that, and he proved that. A lot of people think he's not going to be able to do unless he care about this and that, but he was able to do it. And a lot of people are doing the same thing. I mean, some of the leaders are doing the same thing. It is possible to do that.
this is exactly a matter of taking the easy way,
exactly,
yet a disadvantaged way, or the hard-looking way, but is actually beneficial for you.
This video has been very long.
Yes, but I really want to, you know, be aware of the different sides, because I am looking at it as an outsider. But as an outsider, I think it's important to look at the people and the one in power, because, you know, like I said, it's a complicated relationship. And don't channel your hate and frustration towards, you know, don't go, you know, visit your governor and, you know, do something like harass. Don't say that. Like, don't do that.
Nobody's gonna
and I don't want you to hate United States or China, but you, as your citizens of your own countries, deserve the right of your basic necessities.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating, and it's just really bad when somebody shows or acts like I really care for you, but because that's how Africans or people know back that, man, they just support us, they care for us. So when they look at them, they see as if like Jesus has come to help us. But when you're educated about these things, and then you know that it's not about that, it's not about that. The only reason why they're coming there is to take things away from you. When you understand that and you see that somebody is coming to your own country and then want to control everything that you do, you know, like go there and then, okay, because I'm worse, I want to say, I remember this time, you know, there's this one time Obama, he went to Kenya, and the first time Obama, he went to Kenya, and then they were having a press, Obama and Kenyatta, you know, and he was talking about issue that is going on in America about, you know, the lesbian and gays rights and everything. You know what President of Kenya said? President of Kenya said at that time, which it was really African, a lot of Africans, they loved it. He said that, you know, in our country, we have a lot of issues that we're dealing right now. This is not our priority to deal with. We have issues about economy. We have issue about this. So this is what we're going to pay attention on. And this is what we're going to work on, and not what you were saying today. Like literally, like in front of him, he told him. And some of other leaders from Africa, they actually raised up their voice. But this is like, there's always a wave. Like what is going on in the States, it has to happen every other countries, not only Africa, everywhere. It's a trend to happen everywhere. But no, we have our own priorities. We have things that we are dealing with. We're not disregarding anyone. We're not disrespecting anyone, but we have things that are very important to us. You call yourself a developed country, but you want what you're doing right now, the same thing to developing country to do at the same time. No, we cannot work that way. We have our own priority. Yeah. We have our own cultures. We have our own belief, and that's why we're going to pay attention and deal on. And so when we understand that, and when we know that, all right, you know what? We have everything that it takes to be anyone that we want to be. And we don't need anything from anybody. And if it happens, I'm not saying that we don't need collaboration, we don't need partnership. We need them. But it needs to be beneficial to both sides and not just violate one side and, you know, benefit the other side. I think when we reach at that point, then we are all gonna be living in the better place, you know, than where we are right now. Anyways, guys, this is a very long conversation. I hope you made it all the way to the end. But this is just it's just on the open gate to more conversation, to more opinions. So you guys as well, don't hesitate to share your opinions in the comment section. What do you think about this? But we'll always come back and talk about this, because this is very important things or important topics to share about. So yeah, I really appreciate for stopping by, and don't forget to love one another and spread peace wherever you are. Until next time, Swahili Nation,
Swahili
to the world. All right, we are out of here.